Hello everybody, this is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor here at the 2025 SPE IADC International Drilling Conference in Stavanger, Norway. And with me right now is Darren Sutherland, Borr Drilling, IADC Mental Health and Energy Initiative. Now, if you've read the January-February 2025 edition of Drilling Contractor, you might have seen a story that we did on the life of Mr. Sutherland here, looking into his journey into mental health. We suggest you read that. We'll provide a link for it below. We'll also provide a link for the Mental Health and Energy Initiative and all the great work that they're doing. But Mr. Sutherland gave a keynote at the Diversity and Inclusion session here at the conference. And he talked a little bit about how the industry should approach mental health and sort of what steps need to be taken. And we wanted to talk a little bit more about that here today. So Darren, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you.
So we won't get into all of the details about the formation of mental health and energy in the chart because they can read the story to find out more about that. But I want to get more into some of the points that you made here in your keynote, with some very fascinating points. One of them being sort of the way that the industry needs to look at mental health. You sort of framed it a bit as looking at mental health as an investment, as opposed to just sort of some ethereal concept that we can just sort of think of off in the distance. Can you tell us a little bit more about why it's important for companies to kind of look at mental health in that way? What kind of tangible benefits does that kind of framework provide?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so I think there's evidence today to suggest that poor mental health can impact and does impact individual performance, and in fact can lead to incidents and accidents. So taking the time to focus on mental health to make sure that the workforce are operating at their best capacity is obviously an investment. And the statistics on absenteeism, for example, quite incredible. So if people are not focused on their work, if they're not feeling themselves, then obviously that leads to underperformance at the work sites, in the office. So investing in making sure people are mentally in their best place is an investment in the workforce for sure. And the other thing is that the young workforce coming into the industry, they kind of demand that from us. They've been brought up in a different generation, they have different understandings, they're more in connection with their feelings, and they expect our industry to be able to respond to them. So we're investing not only for the existing workforce, but also for the future workforce.
So what you just talked about here is part of a sort of a cultural shift that you sort of brought up when we look at how we approach mental health within the industry. And it seems like this type of cultural shift can look kind of daunting from afar. What do you think are some of the hurdles to getting industry really pushing towards the type of shift that we might need to sort of better address mental health within the industry? And what are some of the ways you think are the best to kind of handle those hurdles?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the areas of resistance I see is mental health covers a wide range of things, from anxieties and fears, for example, some stage fright, all the way through to suicide. And it contains lots of things in there. It's like the Pandora's box. And I find that a lot of management and leaders, when they lift that lid, look in and go, I don't know how to deal with that. So I think the first thing is awareness and understanding of what mental health is, and to then look at how can we better train our managers to understand the different aspects of mental health so they can deal with it at the work site.
So I will bring up one thing that we discussed in our print story in Drilling Contractor, the mental health charter. And that's been such a big thing. I mean, there was a white paper that came up beforehand, and there's a lot of documentation that you guys have sort of gone on with this, but I want to talk about the framework that the mental health charter sort of provides. Like, explain that framework, and why is it important to have that kind of framework?
Yeah, so the framework was written on the back of the workshop when we launched our white paper. So it was written by industry for industry. And what that really is just a roadmap, if you will, on what are the key practices people should be looking at when talking about mental health and dealing with mental health within their organizations. So some stuff like, how do you record statistics and report, training for managers, training for the staff, raising awareness is really just a simple framework. And there's nothing in there that isn't already expected by the UK HSE, for example, in the Health and Safety at Work Act. So really, it's just a framework that a company could take and say, how do we get on our journey? And it's not about it being a regulation or a policy. It's a document as a guideline to use to step through. You don't have to comply with everything on there. If you do one or two things on that charter, then you're already on that journey to improving mental health within your organization.
And lastly, you tell a very fascinating anecdote about your journey getting into sort of looking into mental health within the industry. You gave a speech a couple of years ago. We mentioned that in the drilling contractor story.
Yeah.
And you brought up how somebody after your speech had pointed out, that you'd given this great speech on we need to do something about looking into this. And he said, great speech. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pose this question to you. Say somebody's watching this video or they've heard you speak about the importance of mental health and they feel like they need to do something about it. What would you tell that person who might come up to you and say, well, what can I do in my company, within the industry? How can I help?
Yeah, great question. I mean, look, if it's an employee who is at a company where mental health programs don't exist, then it's really a question of being courageous enough to step up and speak to management about it, but then also raise the fact that it is an investment. It is part of the modern society. It's an opportunity to retain personnel if you're looking after their well-being. We do a great job looking after their physical well-being. This is just another aspect of it. And the other thing is there's commercial benefits to it as well. We know about absenteeism and the numbers and the cost of absenteeism in the industry. And I think it's just a great opportunity to stand up and ask the questions, bring it forward to management and ask for their assistance.
Well, Darren, it's an ongoing journey.
Ongoing, sure.
And it's going to be really interesting to see where everything goes with this. I mean, it's such an important topic within
Indeed.
our industry. And it's great that you've taken on this role within your normal day-to-day job, and that it'll be interesting to see what you guys do moving forward with this. Thank you.
Great, Stephen. Thank you very much.
And thank you for visiting drillingcontractor.org.